Good evening, everyone. This meeting of the City Council, May 2nd, 2023 is called to order. If anyone out here needs hearing devices, we have them available. And I don't see anybody raising their hand. And I will lead us in the pledge of allegiance. For everyone to stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Donna, can you do a roll call, please?
I will. First is Councilmember Bode via Zoom.
Here.
Councilmember Sherman. Here. Councilmember Gutierrez.
Here.
Marinesco.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Schmidt.
Here.
Councilmember McDowell.
Present.
And Councilmember Peterson.
Here.
Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
Does the council have any late changes to the agenda? All right, city manager? No, all right.
Thank you.
Any council members have board reports?
I do.
Council member.
I had the privilege to be welcomed upon the board of the directors of the Shelton Memorial Parks with Jack Huggins. And we had a very nice discussion with the board about how we're moving into the future and how cemetery is going to look in the future. So we had a really nice discussion about how we are planning to go forward with well, it's it's a very, sorry, I'm just getting up choked up, but it's a very sacred space and we're having problems managing it. And so we had a frank discussion about how we're going to lead this into the future. So it was very encouraging about the people we have on the board and how we wanted to keep it a sacred space and to make sure that we got the community together to help out in these times when the cemetery business in general are declining. So to keep this part of the community and a vital part of our community, we'd like to make sure that we're connected with our community and that we invite everyone out to Memorial Day services on May 29th and that we have more enthusiasm and hope for keeping our sacred spaces and well maintained in the future and forever. So I'm on that board and I hope to do the best I can with the board that's there. So thanks very much for the time and
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah, I don't have a board report, but I spent a few days back in Salem, Massachusetts. Very charming town within 8-mile radius, 47,000 people live within this 8 miles, so it's very dense. But I just want to let you know that the things that we have here in our city, they're back there too. We have the homeless, or they have the homeless, we have the homeless. They have broken up areas around their trees, we have those. So just simple, well, not simple, but things that we experience here, we can't think that we are the only city in the United States with these problems. So it was very interesting to visit a city and see that they have same challenges that we do. And that we can kind of take it from other cities, what they do, and maybe put them to work here.
thank you.
Yeah.
Any other board reports to share? Comments or questions? Nope. All right. Has everyone reviewed the items in the consent agenda? All right, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as published. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We have a couple presentations tonight, and the first one is Liz Allball with the LTAC report for the Mason County Historical Society Museum, which I visited on Saturday.
I saw your name. So this is our Q1 report. Well, come on. Oh, now I went too far. Dang it. So anyway, the previous slide was just, there we are. Our mission statement, which is to preserve, publish, and share the history of Mason County. So try this one more time. Well, I'm not sure what's going on here. There we are. So Q1, January, we were closed for 2 weeks. We've been trying to kind of sort through things, clean up, did some painting, things like that. It's looking better. We're not finished yet by any means, but we're getting there. February was a good month. Maybe the weather, it's like if it's too good, nobody comes in. If it's too bad, nobody comes in. So this must have been just hit the sweet spot. And then March, the weather was kind of crummy, but I think we're still doing pretty well with 500 and something. Here you can see our attendance. I did not include 2020 because we were open and closed so much, but you can kind of see, you know, how our attendance is holding up. And then website has been very busy. We've had a 24% increase over the previous quarter, $2,500 in online sales, which is a 69% increase from Q4, and then a 27% increase of page views on our website. Facebook is also just been kind of blowing up. Our most popular post, we had over 6,600 people reached by that. We have a marketing and communications professional who she works at PLU, who has been helping us. And so she's been scheduling posts and including photos, and she's doing a great job. And it's, you know, a real gift to have her work. We still have this exhibit up for maybe another week or so. We have been working on the next one, but we decided just to leave this up for now. We were the very happy recipient of a community accelerator grant, which is from the Paul Allen Family Foundation. It's not a huge grant, but every bit helps. We had a walking tour a week and a half ago with Mike Fredson. We've had close to 30 people show up for that. He ran out of time. You know, there's so many stories for downtown. And then this is our next exhibit. We probably will be opening this in about a week. So I'm doing a lot of ironing because there are a lot of those little white shirts. And we're cleaning and just trying to, you know, repair things. They've been packed away for years. So, but it's so fun. There's just some beautiful, beautiful pieces in there. So I encourage people to come and see it. And thank you again for your continued support of the museum.
Thank you. I have to say, I walked in the door, I didn't see this lady with the switchboard and I go, where'd she go? But she
Yeah.
just moved her around.
I know. Yeah, we moved her over. Yeah, so now she can keep an eye on us.
There you go.
Any questions?
Any questions? No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. All right, next one is now we have Julie Knott with information about Blue Zone active Mason County.
Who's on live tonight?
There you are.
Hey, I'm here. So am I sharing my slides from my computer or can you see slides that I submitted earlier?
We can, the public can't see your slides unless you share.
Okay, then I'll share. Okay. And make sure you share the right screen. Okay. There we go. Hi, everybody. So I'm Julie Knott. I am the new executive director for the Blue Zones Activate project for Mason County. And mostly I'm here tonight to tell you about the project, to be early telling you, and so you know that it's happening and what to expect, and that this is more like an introduction. And then hopefully throughout time, you know, we'll be talking a lot more. This Blue Zones Activate project is a health and well-being initiative sponsored by Choice Regional Health Network. It's a community investment fund. It's a 3-year project. And it's a second of its kind in the nation. The first one is underway in Grays Harbor County, but
Julie,
yeah.
Can we pop in 1 second? I think you have your alternate screen shared because we're seeing
Oh,
the
yeah.
note. back in
Sorry.
the car.
Thank you.
I don't mind that.
I love my, okay, here we go.
I'll
There,
play this. Perfect.
right, okay, so Blue Zones, it's the first one, or the second one of its kind in the nation. There's 81 Blue Zones projects going on in the nation right now, but Activate is for smaller, more rural communities. And I'll just give you a little bit of background information about what Blue Zones is. It's a study of longevity hotspots around the world, and it's a study of what people have in common that makes them live so long. And you can see by these longevity hotspots, they're all in different continents around the world. And so what do these continents or these areas have in common? It's called, they call it the Power 9. There's like 9 lifestyle commonalities that residents share. And I'm going to go through those really quick so you can get just a whole idea of what this is about. The lifestyle choices that Blue Zones focuses on is based on the reasoning that people spend about 90% of their time within a 20-mile radius of their home. So any kind of changes that or assistance that a Blue Zones project makes is probably with maybe at home, a school, a work site, a grocery store, different places, but it's generally where in communities that Blue Zones feels they can make the most support for health and well-being. Basic tenets of Blue Zones, just making sure that people in communities have places to move naturally, whether you're walking to the store or you're gardening, or maybe that word deconvenience you see there, which I'm using my arrow to show you that. That means maybe you use a push lawnmower instead of a gas lawnmower or something like that. But just basically so you're moving throughout the day naturally. And then another Blue Zones tenet is making it important to downshift during the day, whether it's yoga, a hobby, knitting, hanging out with your friends, meditation, but making sure that you calm down and have some time to just reflect and downshift. And then an important tenet of Blue Zones is a purpose, and for elders, for young people, for older people, it's just Blue Zones and a purpose in life is associated with living longer. You can associate for each of these Power 9 roles, they actually have a count of how much longer you could live if you have that tenet in your life. And there's some Blue Zones projects about food too. There's that 80% rule that you only eat about until you're 80% full. And then I'm going to go back, and then you use smaller servings, but we have a plant-based diet, but that doesn't mean there's no meat involved. It just means there's more plants. And then another tenet of Blue Zones is friends at 5, people to hang out with, a reason to be. A lot of the Blue Zones communities, except for one, has a happy hour generally with a red wine sometimes, or not, but generally with friends, a time to unwind and have healthy snacks and things like that. And then another Blue Zone tenet is just having your family first, living maybe if you can closer to your family where you're helping each other out and you're spending time together. And that goes back again to, purpose as well. And then that goes along with just, feelings of belonging. And the study of Blue Zones communities shows that generally religion is part of the Blue Zones tenet, but it doesn't matter what denomination. It just means that you feel included with something. That's an important tenet for that. And then being around the right friends, making sure that the friends that you are near are healthy, like you want to be, and that you're supportive of each other. And then things like that. So that's the Blue Zones tenet. So what does that have to do with Mason County? Well, Blue Zones Activate is focusing on 2 small sections of health and well-being, the built environment and food systems, with the idea that changes to these environments have an impact that we could do in a 3-year time. And then how that is all working out right now, it just started, and that's why I wanted to talk to you all and make sure I'm trying to get through as many community leaders as I can so that, this project coming along, what's happening and you have an idea of the dates and the important findings. And so right now, I don't have all the dates for everything, but I'm just going to let you know, I've got you on my radar. Right now, though, we're in a phase called discovery with foods. So we've been interviewing farms, the hospital, grocery stores, schools, WSU educators to find out information about farm policy locally. And so that's the first study that's going to be happening right now. And the next we'll be studying the built environment, the parks plans, things like that. But the point is we're going to be doing these studies, and it's going to have a lot of community oversight. And we're looking for projects that possibly Blue Zones could boost, like what is underway in the city, what's already in the county, what's the plan, and is there something that we can do to help the good work that's already underway? Because this project isn't about presenting projects to the community, it's about digging into the community and seeing if there's some assistance that Blue Zones could give for health and well-being. And one of the things that they did was they gave a person, and they're giving technical assistance and grant writing assistance if necessary. So this is a pretty big effort. And then, wrapping this up though, there, I will be back to tell you the calendar dates and the more official times of things that are happening. But if you look on the Blue Zones website, it's kind of fun. There's a vitality test and a happiness test, and there's some really fun recipes. And so between now and the next time that I talk to you, you can check that out. And then I think I'm going to take this off so I can see you and see if you have any questions.
Any comments or questions?
I just have a comment. Kudos, this is a great program. I love it. And when you get into the park part, I just am I always say a city thrives more when there's parks around than the vegetable gardens and the natural things for people to do. It's a great program. Thank you.
You can find me. I'm upstairs at the EDC office in Shelton, and so I'm right here. And please look me up. And also, I'm looking for people to talk to for definitely people in the built environment coming up. And so, I've met with the city manager Ziegler already, and just to give the heads up, and also Council Member Peterson, although that was as the chamber director. So I'm trying to get around as best as I can. But if you know of anybody you think I should talk to, please let me know. And then back at it, I will be informing you as time goes on of when our next open house is. We're going to be having one in 6 to 8 weeks, and I'll make sure you know.
Thank you.
So the longevity, so people are living longer. Do you see any data that younger people are living, there's less younger people having heart attacks and strokes and stuff like that in your studies?
Well, this is the second project of its kind in the nation. And so ideally, as time goes on with a project like this, we would see a decrease in obesity, a decrease in healthcare costs. An Activate project being only in the built and food environment at a smaller level will have a smaller measurable as it goes. But I'm working closely with the county health department on aligning the measurements with Blue Zones with the health goals too there. So that's going to be a really big challenge. And any advice you all have about that, I'd certainly like to know.
Would you like to come to a Parks Advisory Board? For the
Yes.
Metropolitan Area?
Yes, I
Mark,
would.
Really?
we'd love to meet our group over there.
Yes, I would. Yeah.
All right. Any other comments or questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
very
so much. Have a nice night.
All right. Now we have 2 proclamations tonight. The first one is National Public Works Week, and I'm going to read that proclamation. Whereas public work professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life and well-being of the people of Shelton. And whereas these infrastructures, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment and solid waste systems, public buildings and other structures and facilities essentials for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Shelton to gain knowledge and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works, first responders and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2023 marks the 63rd annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association. Now, therefore, it will be resolved. I, Mayor Eric Onisco, do hereby designate May 21st through 27th, 2023 as National Public Works Week. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and recognize the substantial contributions they make protecting national health and safety of quality of life. I will sign this tonight. And Jay, would you like to make a few comments? This is our Public Works Director.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, Jay Harris, your Public Works Director. So first thing I'd like to say is involvement with the community. With COVID, we weren't very involved, right? But we came out of all that. So I'd like to offer, to church groups, school groups, you folks, that I have a green van that I can Zoom 6 people around in about. And then I also can meet people at like the wastewater plant if they want to bring in a school bus of kids, high schoolers, whatever. So I can tell more about processes at these factories that, people don't really realize what some of these facilities do and the number of people it takes to run them. So I'd like to offer that. So if you folks, know of some groups that want to get out and around, learn a little more, we're always open to giving tours out there, usually once a month. I like to give them to new employees too, so which is really good. So things that we have going on right now, we have Public Works Week coming up. We're going to do Fill the Truck again. We did that last year with Mason County. I can't remember how many pounds of food we got, but it was a lot. And then we actually got a bunch of cash donations too, which was pretty neat. So it worked out real good, and it allowed us to collaborate with Mason County a little more and their public works staff. Couple projects we have going on under construction, Railroad Avenue. Thank you, everybody. We've almost survived that project. Got the striping down, street trees are going in, some signs, and it's just in wrap-up mode. I'll be giving you guys a final report on that in the coming months, once we get some of the contractors' payments and such wrapped up. We're pretty much on budget, use a little bit of contingency. So good project for us. Another project, C Street landfill closure, got a presentation in a few minutes on that to give you an update. We also got the parking lot, the Civic Center parking lot, beautiful parking lot, turned out really, really good. Excited for basketball and pickleball. Not as excited about all the cars that park there, right? So hopefully the community uses that during the summer months. And then the edible garden, which I didn't have anything to do with, that was something that just happened. The city manager was able to pull that off, which was good. A couple other things, Birch Street House was taken down. Been working with the Conservation District on how and when we're going to open up the stormwater facility there. And they were talking about an edible type of plant garden, or maybe just more of a passive viewing area or something of some stream activities. What else? We have Brockdale coming up next week. That's a grind and overlay project. It's going to consume all of next week. The reader board signs were supposed to get out there soon if they haven't been already, to notify people. Front Street is all ground out, ready to pave. We're going to pave it on Thursday, but rain is going to sort of cancel that. So probably Monday or Tuesday, Front Street will be overlaid. And we have a couple things in design. We got well one to high school tank. We should be out to bid in the next 6 weeks on that. And then we're going to follow up with the reclaim water tank probably in July for bid. Those both are going to be constructed in the fall. So they're good winter time type of construction projects. Safe routes to schools in design. Also need to get an update. They're about 60% plans right now. Hopefully we can get that pushed out and also be building that in the fall. And that's sort of what we got going on. So we got 36 people and we're busy maintaining and engineering and building things for the betterment of the city.
A lot of you are doing double duties right now.
A lot of things going on. You got it.
I love to see the trucks and the guys out on the street because then we know there's progress.
Correct. They actually have a schedule right now, where they're trucking things and who's showing up where, and it's sort of all hands on deck. You know, wastewater plant people are out driving truck right now, and we got a lot of things going on, and we need to cool off per se. So, and then just the vegetation management part of it too, in the right of ways is picking up. The growing season has started. I know Parks has the same issue, that we get really busy out trying to maintain the right of ways. So we got a busy summer ahead on the AMI project, which we're self-performing that project internally. We're getting, on a good day, we can get 15 meters in. And so, you know, we're getting maybe 40 a week. And so we're going to try to get 2 or 3 more crews out there and try to really knock that one out, which will be a great betterment for the city.
Appreciate it. That's our automatic meter.
Automated meter infrastructure, AMI. And so we're doing drive-by radio read right now, where our truck can drive by, picks up the signal a block or 2 away. It'll tell you the ones you missed. And then eventually we're going to put an antenna on one of our reservoirs, and we'll be able to get meter reads right at the customer service counter. And when that's integrated, you can get real-time consumption reads at your house too, like your kids that take long showers while you're gone or whatever. You can start figuring out why your water bill might be a little higher. Yeah, and with sewer goes along with water use, right? So,
Yeah, appreciate staff taking that on. I remember we were going to hire out for that.
Correct. And the reason why we're taking it on is because we couldn't get all the parts. There's still 2,000 transmitter units that are on back order from Census. It's because of that chip shortage. It's still affecting supply chains. And so I can't get a contractor out there working if I don't have all the parts to do the project.
So what are the neighborhoods that they've been installed in?
Oh, boy, that's a good question. I'll send you guys a map. I'll get a highlighter and just send you a map. We've been a little bit around, but they're concentrating more up in that portion of town. But I'll send you out a map highlighting what we've done so far. We're about 10% of the way done. We got a ways to go.
All right. Any other questions? Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, our next proclamation is going to be read by Councilmember Peterson.
Thank you. City of Shelton Provider Appreciation Day proclamation. Whereas Child Care Aware of America and other organizations nationwide are recognizing childcare providers on this day. And whereas childcare provides a safe, nurturing place for the enrichment and development of millions of children nationwide and is a vital force in our economy. And whereas the pandemic illuminated how indispensable childcare providers are for the well-being and economic security of Washington's young children, families, and communities. Whereas childcare programs, which are mostly small businesses, run and staffed predominantly by women, are still recovering from health and financial hardships stemming from the pandemic, while they have continued to meet the needs of families. And whereas the state of Washington recognizes that childcare has been a lifeline for families, communities, and the economy, and as such has provided much needed support to providers to help sustain the viability of childcare. Whereas our future depends on the quality of the early childhood experiences provided to young children today, support for the high quality childcare represents a worthy commitment to our children's future. Now, therefore, the Shelton City Council does hereby proclaim May 12th, 2023 as Provider Appreciation Day in the city of Shelton and urges all citizens to recognize childcare providers for their important work. Signed the 2nd day of May 2023 by Mayor Eric Anisco.
Thank you, Councilmember. All right. Our only business item is a resolution for a contract change by Public Director Jay Harris.
Good evening, Council. Jay Harris again. So the C Street landfill closure project. So the landfill was in operation from 1930 to somewhere in 1980s. You can see in the picture there, the graded area sort of in the center of the screen there. You can see miles sand and gravel to the south there. And so operated it for an extensive amount of time. And we were mandated by the state to cap the landfill project and to seal off the waste. And so That process took a significant amount of time to get through the planning documents and then get the design phase done. And then we leaped off into construction in January. So the project scope was, you can see the landfill closure area. The big thorn in our side was Miles Resources property, that you can see the red area up there, that all needed to be taken off of their property and put onto our property. So sounds like an easy task, but if you can see the road there, and you'll see pictures in a minute, it's 30 feet high in the air. And so the road was built this big causeway, which caused a lot of problems for geotechnical borings, that they could only bore intermittently. You couldn't get the machine down the side slope. And so we had some estimating to do of where that limit, without taking the road out, you wouldn't know, right? So you'll see some pictures in a second. So to close the project though, we're lucky we were in an old mine site. And we're at a rock quarry, right? And so there's still rock quarry material left in here, which worked out really good for our purposes for the project. So to close the landfill area, I'm looking on the left there. So you level the trash area and you put in a base course layer. You got to move all the trash onto the site first, level it out, put a base course on. They're putting in a geotextile liner. This is an interesting liner. It's not a solid liner. It's a woven fabric. It allows some water to go through, and it also gives structural strength, because when you have a bunch of trash and sort of mucky stuff, and then you got to compact some material on top of it for the cap, you needed something to keep them separated and give a little bit of structure. So the geotextile, I did a bunch of research on today because I thought it was a impermeable membrane, and it's not. It's set up, you put it in a road that maybe had soft material under it, that sort of thing. And so when we get the geotextile liner done, they're going to bring in a 2-foot non-permeable fill cap. That's what keeps the water from going down into the landfill. You got to compact that though, is the issue. And it's wet. The material is laying there. It's pretty wet right now. So we're chasing the sun right now. So we're working on good days. And you got to have one good day, then you can go work like the next day, right? And then you might get 2 or 3, and then you're out for a while. And so they've been picking and choosing days. It's actually been working out pretty good. So when you get done, you place 6 inches of topsoil, you hydroseed the whole area. We're putting a fence around it, some closure signs, that sort of thing. That gets the whole site stabilized. We've met the Department of Ecology standards. So in terms of the funding for this project, Department of Ecology, 75%, the city, 25%. So we were lucky to get grants from them to do this closure project. So the issue we found is there's more offsite waste. And so this is like day one looking to the south. You can see the backhoe up on top of the road. The bulldozer is down, just starting to rip up the actual landfill site. So the backhoe is on the Miles site to the south there. And you can see, you know, a weekend, these guys got a big mess going out there. It's rainy, it's mucky. And you got to have waders on, right? But they make progress. You'll see in a moment here. So a few weeks later, you can see looking south, you know, they're in trying their best to excavate the waste out. And a few days later, it snows. They're shut down for a while. And then this one looking west is a good one. That's the bottom right photo. So that's looking due west down the Miles Road, and you can see how high the road is. The landfill's on the right, and the Miles site's on the left. Well, there's waste that's under that road. And what I'm thinking is when the road was constructed, I think they sort of wanted to cap it and make it like go away, right? That's why the road was put in there. But it's our responsibility to get that waste off their site. So we sort of held up for a while because we found the more waste. We needed to make sure there was money to complete the project. We did ecology, and we had some significant funding. So we worked through some construction change orders, and what you presented tonight is change order for site inspection, soils testing, monitoring is what's in front of you tonight. So the proof here is sort of down on the bottom there, that you're looking east, that the road's coming out. I'm looking towards Shelton, towards 101, and half that road is gone. And they're bucketing down low, lifting it up to another backhoe that's loaded into a truck. And it's just tablespoon by tablespoon to get that stuff out of there. And it's wet. It's a wet area to work. And so the last one is, that's what the waste layers sort of look like that they're trying to get out of there. It's a mishmash of everything that you would have took to the landfill back in the 1940s, right? Mostly unrecognizable things that decomposed, you know, long time ago. But we're doing our part. We're getting it off the Miles site. So the extra waste that we encountered, we have a resolution before you tonight. That Aspect is requesting another $120,000 to $121,564 to do the additional testing, the additional monitoring, to get the waste moved off of Miles, to get the road, and then you got to backfill the hole where the waste was. Then you got to put the road back in, get it compacted to standard, get gravel on it. Then they're building safety berms to keep a truck from driving off of it too. So anyways, there's a lot of geotechnical work to get this reconfigured. And so the resolution tonight is to approve an amendment to their contract to allow for this additional work to occur so they can monitor it for the city. And that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you, Jay. Donna, anyone sign up for public comment on this?
No, we don't, Mr. Mayor.
Right. Is there anyone in the audience that has not signed up to like to speak on this? All right. Do we have a motion?
I move to forward resolution number 127104223 to the May 16th city council meeting for action agenda for further consideration.
Second.
Okay. Comments or questions for Jay?
So this is above and beyond what we have to pay continuing, right?
That's correct. This additional waste was found off-site. Because of the roadway, it was really hard to determine the exact extent. This cost we would have paid for the most part if we would have known to begin with. This is significant hours for the geotech, standing there, taking stuff to the lab, compaction testing, monitoring cut fill volumes. There's just directing activity is what's waste, what can be put back in, and it's all got sorted out there. And so at the end of the day, if we would have known the waste extended out a little farther, we would have paid this cost anyway.
So let me get this straight in my mind. We're burying everything,
On our site, yes.
putting a cover on it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And then there's going to be a compacted layer of impermeable fill on top of the liner. And then on top of that, we're going to put topsoil and hydroseeded. So we're going to mow it. It's going to be green grass out there.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Well, it's been a problem for 50 years and it's finally being taken care of and coming to an end. So let's get it done.
I used to ride with my dad out there on Saturday.
Oh, you're part of the problem.
I know.
Oh, we found his wallet, by the way.
And did it have all the money in it?
It did.
Oh, good. I'll come.
Oh, actually, it didn't. I'm sorry.
Just don't find Jimmy Hoffa out there. Okay?
We'll fight off.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
Deputy Mayor, get a
so thanks, Jay. Good work on this. Yeah, we're motivated to see this get completed, and then the next project on the list that I'd be interested in pursuing is Goose Lake. I'm understanding that's on private property, but yeah, I'd be interested in having more discussions on getting some of these sites cleaned up and what it takes to motivate a private property owner to start working on that. It's been decades.
And make it an amenity for future development in that region. Our membrane plant is on one side of that lake. And so we're an abutting property owner.
Thanks.
All right, we have a motion to second to forward resolution number 1271-0423 to May 16th council meeting. Action agenda for further consideration. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now to the action. We have interim city manager Mark Ziegler has information for us about a grant for secure police parking lot.
Thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, council members. Bringing back to you tonight, consideration of the Department of Commerce grant to install a secure parking lot for our first responders, court and MACECOM workers here on the Fifth Street side of the Shelton Civic Center. This is a 2022 supplemental budget appropriation from our state delegates, our 35th district state delegates. So really appreciate their support in this project to ensure the security of our first responders and critical employees working for public safety. So nothing has changed since the briefing on the 18th. And with the council's approval tonight, we'll get this signed and work forward with the project after the vacation of Fifth Street. If you remember, this would require the vacation of Fifth Street between Coda and Grove. And so the fence would enclose that portion of the street where the police parking lot is located now, as well as close off the sidewalk that is adjacent to the Civic Center here on the west side of Fifth Street. The east side of Fifth Street would be open for pedestrian access.
Thank you. Anyone have a public comment, Donna?
No.
Anyone like to speak on this? All right. We have a motion.
I move to authorize the interim city manager to sign the Washington State Department of Commerce grant for secure parking for the Shelton Police.
Okay.
Comments or questions? All right, we have a motion and a second to authorize the interim city manager to sign the Washington State Department of Commerce grant for secure parking for the Shelton Police. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I do have one question about it. What kind of fence are we going to be looking at?
We will spec out a decorative ornamental fence that will match, you know, as close as we can, some of the railing at the Civic Center I see outside. So similar to what the sheriff's office
Wrought
has
iron
over on.
or
Mhm.
whatever, okay,
It's not wrought iron anymore, but wrought iron looking, yes,
wrought iron.
Yep.
I was assured it was not razor wire.
correct.
All right. Now we're at the city manager report. Mark, do you have a report? for us
Thank you.
tonight?
Yeah, a few items of note tonight for you. I want to recognize the culmination of the Shelton Arts Commission's Empty Bowls project that finished up Wednesday. Quite successful event. We never count how many people are there completely because they kind of move in and out, but this is the largest amount of donations that project has achieved in over 18 years of running that event. The Shelton Arts Commission, the volunteers that dedicate their time to putting on that event, the restaurants and bakeries that have been involved and the other volunteers makes it a great community event, and they get a nice meal, and then again the $3,000 plus that benefits Saints Pantry Food Bank is great to see, and a great community activity that we continue to conduct every year. So just want to recognize that. Farmers Market, talk about great community events and activities, kicks off this Saturday over here in the new parking lot, 425 West Coda. So that will take place, I believe it's 10 to 3, but the parking lot will be closed off to the general public early in the morning on Saturday morning. Open up back up in the afternoon after the farmers market leaves the site. So that'll run on Saturdays to the end of October. We're really happy to have that located down here and hope to see a lot of activity right down here on Coda Street. Mentioned the parking lot, Director Harris mentioned that as well. Finishing touches are put on that. You see some green grass around the parking lot. The barricades will come down here prior to the farmers market on Saturday. We're just waiting for those roots to kind of grab a little bit in the soil before it gets a lot of foot activity. So we have seen some people out there shooting hoops, and that's great. It's good to see. Yeah, they're sneaking through those barricades. Let's see, great news on the parks front. Shelton Rotary, following up from their community event up at the Huff and Puff Trail a couple weeks ago, have formally applied for adoption of the trail. So they will now provide regular maintenance and service to that trail facility bi-monthly or semi-monthly, sorry. So it'll be great to have them up there and utilizing the trail, providing some of that community activity, and we hope to promote more of these opportunities throughout the rest of our park facilities as well. So it's a great partnership and kickoff. And then the last thing, I'll just mention the Brockdale Road improvements again, as Director Harris mentioned. 8th, 9th, and 10th is kind of the prep days. 11th and 12th, they're scheduled to be paving occurring up there. One lane will remain open the whole time, and that's from the Wallace Nealon Johns Prairie intersection there, the four-way stop on the south up to Island Lake and the Bat Suncock Road on the north. So that's the limits of the paving project. So that'll be a great improvement and have a new road surface down there for everybody to enjoy. So that is all I have for you tonight.
Perfect. Comments or questions for city manager? Mark, can we talk a little bit about Northcliffe Park, or can you just give a little briefing
Yeah.
on the history on the park? And, you know, it's gonna be a neighborhood park. There's
Yeah.
not gonna be parking. It's for people to walk to and stuff
Yeah,
like
happy
that.
to. Yeah, so this 1.75 acre parcel was dedicated when the plat was originally, let's see, adopted in the late 70s when Terrace Heights was platted, went through the final plat process. It was dedicated for public park access, never developed. Never really had the opportunity or never rose to a priority. So most recently, the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee has worked with some of the neighbors and residents up in that area to come up with a plan to install some public improvements. So right now, the advisory committee and neighbors with some seed money from the city Parks Department are working to install a security fence that will limit access out to the street. When you have those recreation amenities there, we want to limit that access to some of the busy streets, as well as define the property lines to the property owners, define the park and the property, right? Security reasons also just keeps that migration onto private property. And then the first amenity would be a play structure. So right now, the committee and the group are seeking some partnerships to help support that project, and with the goal of ordering the equipment by the end of June and have that installed this fall and ready to go. And then we'll work through the budget process next year to further create some more improvements at that facility. It is a neighborhood park. It's not intended as a community park like Nealon Park or Loop Field or things like that. Our neighborhood parks are intended for to access pedestrian access and walking distance within typically a half-mile service radius. It all kind of depends on what kind of infrastructure is in place or geographical limitations, kind of like Shelton Creek and Canyon. It'd be a long walk to get around that from the kind of Mountain View side. But that's the intended purpose. Short visits, you're within, it's after school or quick Saturday, and kids go down, play on the playground, kick the soccer ball around, something like that, where they have a bigger area to play. And then you can head home and do whatever you need to do, but get some steam out of the kids within a close distance to your residence. So that's the intent. There won't be parking, there won't be flush bathrooms or anything like that. Really just a quick day use type area.
Great. I had another question about the park. And we're taking donations for play equipment.
Correct, absolutely.
If anybody wants to donate to the play equipment.
Yeah.
And I think that is my only question. Any other questions for Mark? All right, thank you. Oh, that's what my question was. So on our parks plan or comp plans, we're looking to have a park within walking distance. How?
So a park within a half-mile radius of every resident in the community. So that's our standard, right? So some of our parks some of our community parks serve as neighborhood parks and, overlap, say Nealon Park, for instance, that serves as a neighborhood park as well as a community park. But outside of those areas that community parks serve, we would want to target neighborhood parks in those areas. So we can achieve that a couple ways, right? In areas of the city that are already built out. We would achieve that through the city's investment into those park facilities. If they're being built out through a new subdivision, we have an ordinance that was adopted recently that would require that subdivider to provide parks per the park standard in our park plan, which is 5 acres per 1,000, and meet some amenity requirements. The first 2 acres would be active recreation areas with a play structure, sport court, and things like that. And then the rest of the recreational amenities could be trails and open space and natural areas, and a combination of those. So That's how we'd achieve those standards.
I was excited to hear about the blue zone and how maybe we connect all these trails together that we have and all the parks together that we have in the future. And I think that was part of the master parks plan was to connect everything and also have auto access as well.
Yeah.
So long-term visioning, we have a lot of plans to take us to the future and have a beautiful environment to live and work in.
Over there, we're on Birch Street, where you took down the house, fire department took down the house over the creek.
Mhm.
I keep asking and I keep forgetting your answer. What's gonna be done over there? Is there gonna be a park, neighborhood park over there?
Not necessarily, it's a really small lot. I think it's maybe a 6,000 square foot lot, fairly small for a park, and it's got the creek through it, so you have some limitations. We've worked with the Mason Conservation District previously and intend to work with them again to help mitigate maybe some potential downtown flooding by utilizing that site. So it certainly could be a public area, but a formal park, more of an open space, natural area more than anything, and not necessarily an active recreation area.
Are any of the neighbors talking about a community garden there?
Not since the city originally acquired that. We haven't heard back from them, but there could be some possibilities after that design work is done. That certainly could be added as an element to that.
All
parcel.
right.
Right. At this time, the members of the public are invited to make public comment on any topic that we have not talked about tonight. Donna, do we have anybody signed up?
We do. Our first speaker is Athena Ayers.
Good evening, happy to see you all. I just wanted to be able to stop in and address you as the city as well as our community and talk about very quickly some changes that are happening with our Community Lifelines meal program. It's come to my attention that there are a lot of rumors circulating about the kitchen completely closing, about us not providing meals to anyone at all anymore, and I want to assure people that that is not true. We are strengthening our volunteer base so that our meal program can return back to being supported solely by volunteers rather than having paid staff coming out of the kitchen, which was a much needed response during the pandemic, but not so much anymore. Also, just reminding you guys that we do serve up to sometimes upwards of 100 people an evening. Averagely, it's about 85 people an evening. That is not just Community Lifeline residents, that is also members of our community, including families with small children. While I hope to someday eventually get to a point where members of the community with concerns or complaints or feedback can approach me directly and contact me, reach out to me directly to voice those things. I have been made aware of the issue of to-go containers venturing off into other places around the community, and I don't want that to be an issue as well. So we are inviting people to return to enjoying meals in our dining room. We will no longer be handing out to-go meals from the back door. And hopefully that has a positive impact on the surrounding area of the community. And if it does not, please reach out to me. I am trying to assist the community and be a support of the community and not just of Community Lifeline. So I'm always open to suggestions and feedback and that sort of thing. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dean Jewett.
Thanks for always hearing me and listening to me. I appreciate it. It's kind of ironic we're talking about parks. There's a park I want to talk about. It happens to border Community Lifeline, Brewer Park. I have some grave concerns with that park. We had a gentleman that spent 25 days in the park, half in the park and half on the sidewalk. There's an ordinance that talks about impeding the flow of pedestrian traffic on a sidewalk. You guys can look up that ordinance. I've stated it before. But 25 days. I can guarantee you that out of all 25 days, there was at least a bed open half of that time. So where is the disconnect from when We say we can't move somebody from a park because they don't have a bed, but yet we have a bed, but then nobody has that communication back and forth. 25 days, 25 days. Okay, I just sent you guys all a picture of the gentleman down there with the go-kart. It's like an Odyssey. So now he's all in the stop sign, half in the park, half off the park, all over the place. Is he gonna get another 25 days? I wonder about the conditional use permit that they have with policing the people in the neighborhood around there. You know, we all know what the hearings examiner stated about not even allowing to go from 35 to 50 beds. But what about the conditional use permit? And are we in violation of that? So, I mean, what are you guys doing to protect the business owners and the other community members that might want to use that park? Because it is a park and it has stated rules on the signs. So what can I do to help you? And what can you do to help the community? Foliage. I don't know if anybody's seen the picture that I had, but they actually had a hatchet and they hacked into that tree. That tree's probably 100 years old. And it was all hacked into because somebody tried to do a tree for it. So I want to talk about a council member that has taken the bull by the horns with some of the shopping carts that we have going on. And I appreciate that. I would really like to see some other efforts from other council people, and I'll help in any way that I can. You can reach out to me and I'll be there. I have a concern about this. We do a lot of food in this community, a lot of food. We have St. David's Pantry, we've got the Chimneys Bus, we got Community Lifeline. So we have two Chimneys Ministries coming down into a private area handing out food. Okay, is that really what we want to inject into downtown core when we already have a pretty negative impact of what's happening downtown with garbage and everything? There's a thread and it talks about it, and we're talking about members that are receiving some of this food, and it's a safety net. And so when that safety net goes away so that they don't have it there, they actually have to lift themselves up out of that quagmire. And that's about people lifting themselves up and out and being successful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have Jennifer Hoagland.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor Anisco and Deputy Mayor Schmidt and council members Sherman, Gutierrez, Bode, McDowell, and Peterson. It is my pleasure to meet with you tonight. This is my first time speaking before you. This should be something I put in my baby book. Unfortunately, I don't have that anymore. But I wanted to just introduce myself to you as a soon-to-be new member of the community of Shelton City. And currently, I'm a resident of Mason County. I understand what it's like to be in a us versus them situation. My husband was recently elected official for the county, and I've worked very hard at the county level to help support my community. I want you to know that when I become a city member living here in Shelton, which will be the end of May, we'll be closing on our new home down here. It's an old home that we are going to purchase and look at revitalizing, rehabilitating. And I think it's very special because it's in the David Shelton's edition number 2. And as I was looking at purchasing this home, I did homework on the community. I'm new to the Mason County area for the last 2.5 years, and learning about your community. I'm from Pacific Northwest of Port Angeles, Sequim area, before that Port Townsend, but I originally grew up in Northwest Indiana. But we moved to Port Townsend my senior year of high school, and then I went to college at Peninsula College and also at Evergreen. But I was in a pre-engineering program and worked with the city when I did a summer job with the Public Works Department as a draftsman, and really enjoyed my time with the city. I've also seen the county work quite a bit in Clallam County and appreciate what it takes for cities to struggle and go through revitalization and deal with homelessness as well, and drug abuse. I've seen homelessness be shipped to rural Clallam County as a result of problems from the city in King County in Seattle.
So I know this is a problem here in Shelton as well, and that you're trying and working very hard as a city council and as mayor and deputy mayor to address homelessness and drug abuse here in our community. And also, I want to let you know that I've had 25 years experience as a mental health counselor. And so that's another gift that I can bring to my city. I understand mental health very well, working one-on-one with people and the needs there. And I look forward to working with you on that. And also I have an interest in projects in the community, along with the PSR project that the Squaxin Tribe is sponsoring with their trail and with the Shelton Yacht Club, and also seeing what the city can do to add to that as well. And also to support the revitalization of downtown and small businesses. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have one person on Zoom, and that is Colleen Carmichael.
Good evening. My name is Colleen Carmichael. I'm the Executive Director for Quixote Communities. Again, I'm here to remind you that homelessness is actually caused by a lack of affordable housing, lack of employment opportunities, and low wages. There are many people in the community who are one paycheck away from a financial setback, and they've also experienced job losses, car troubles, illness, divorce, or any unexpected expense can lead to the loss of housing. Also, there's the psychological and physical disabilities, learning disorders, post-traumatic stress disorder, medical conditions, history of child abuse, sexual abuse, domestic abuse, or some combination of these also play a role. How do we end homelessness? There are solutions out there. I've mentioned them. I'm going to continue to mention them. One is building more affordable housing units. The FCS group research that was released on Mason County's website states, to meet the Washington Growth Management Act requirements, the city of Shelton and communities of Allen and Belfair and other unincorporated areas should plan to accommodate at least 11,573 additional housing units over the next 20 years. The next thing you can do to stop homelessness is increasing available rental units, incentivizing landlords to rent to those who are experiencing homelessness. Using private capital, agencies can guarantee rent and other securities on market rate units to offset credit checks and rental histories for people experiencing homelessness. All program participants also receive ongoing support from social service partners, ensuring that they develop the necessary skills to stay healthy and housed. Landlords make no financial concessions, and previously homeless people move into unstigmatized housing and thriving communities in a matter of days. The FCS group research states that there are 376 of these units needed in Mason County. Third, provide financial support to renters. The most effective policy we could take to address homelessness is to provide housing choice vouchers for every eligible household. Vouchers effectively fill in the gap between the cost of rent and utilities and how much a household can afford to pay, ensuring that those very low incomes can afford housing. The FCS group research states that 326 more government-assisted housing units are needed for year-round funding for residents. Again, all of these are possible in Mason County. We're just one of the many providers who are trying to make this reduce. And the more funding that you can receive as a provider, the greater the number of homelessness will go down. So please help us and help those who are providing services so we can reduce or eliminate the effects of homelessness in the city and the county.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience like to speak on any issue? All right. Does the council have any new items for discussion?
I just have one thing. I'm going to be attending the Habitat for Humanity house blessing on Sunday. So that's at 2:00 over on Park Street.
Mark, are we prepared to talk about the concern over the Blake decision at all? That is a big concern for many cities. I mean, if we're not ready for it.
We're not ready at this point. We're working on that. We have some staff meetings this week to work through some of the logistics, I guess, behind that, how those are being implemented in other jurisdictions and how that would, how logistically that would happen here. So from the defense and prosecution and treatment courts and then treatment facilities and everything that goes along with that, as well as, just the law enforcement and patrolling that happens with that. So there's a lot of moving parts to that now. So we're trying to get that to a stage where we can provide the council answers to any of their questions and the path forward so you can make an informed decision. So we'll get back to you as soon as we can, hopefully some more information by the end of this week and moving into the beginning of next week. And then we'll schedule a time to brief you council.
Well, hopefully Olympia actually has a special session and makes the fix themselves, but if not, hopefully we're ready for it. So that's July, correct?
July 1, correct.
Right, any other comments?
I think this weekend is Matlock. Down the road is having an old timers festival. And I think that's a really neat thing that we have, but we have a lot of diversity within our community and our county. And that's just one more thing, a little bit more history about, the people who were here before us and about our community. So I'm hoping to get out there myself, maybe some other people here, or stop out there. It's a lot of interesting history about what made Mason County great.
Lots of good fair food.
And they tied Matlock and Shelton together. The person who built our house many years ago, built a house in Matlock, just identical, which was a grandson of a Matlock pioneer. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, and a lot of the people from that area came to school in town. The train went back and forth all the time. There was a lot of connection, and it's right down the road. So way back when my family was here a long time ago, to them, this was normal to go from Dayton to Matlock and from Matlock to Dayton to Shelton. That was a normal route to do their things that they had to do. And so we have some really tight connections that we need to remember the history of. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Our next meeting is Tuesday, May 16th at 6 p.m. We also have a study session on Tuesday, May 9th at 6 p.m. This meeting is adjourned at 7:06 p.m.
Right.